welcome. You are watching Property Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan, and we're answering all your questions on buying, selling, and investing in real estate with Amit Goenka today. Amit is the MD and CEO at Nisus Finance. Amit, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Kavita.
Let's get started. We have Dr. Kishore T. Zingre. He has sent in a question from Singapore and says that he wants to know the future prospects of the Chembur East area, especially a project called Anantya by Radius Developers in Chembur East. What is the expected appreciation in this area in the next 5 years? Is there any impact of demonetization in the area and on this particular project? How is the track record of Radius Developers?
Well, thank you, Dr. Zingre, for your question. It's very interesting to receive a query on Chembur East from somebody who's sitting out of Singapore. So it obviously shows how much Mumbai real estate is occupying, NRI, Indian diaspora mindset. First of all, I think clearly Chembur has been a very talked about micro market in terms of the growth and development potential. It is now the hub of all new infrastructure development, whether it is the Eastern Freeway, the monorail, the metro, to obviously the expansion of the Eastern Corridor in general. It obviously has become a very key focal network or a junction for infrastructure development. Having said that, this project in particular is a very large SRA project, which is a joint venture between Radius and a land-owning SRA company called Deserve, spread over 40 acres of land with about 21 towers. So it's a very, very huge development, which I think will take much beyond the quoted December 18 possession. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to December 20 or December 2020 or even beyond. I think that's one. Second is that a lot of the stock has been sold over the last 3 to 4 years to various people, including investors on various schemes, etc., because of the sheer volume of development. So while the project will maybe take shape, which is in my mind will be worth investing maybe 2 or 3 years later, because I prefer, as usual, more late stage development where we can see the construction, one can see the development of the various towers, and I have a clear line of sight on the delivery. And because that is not the case here, I would typically not recommend it. Again, because it's a large SRA project and the access is actually slightly circuitous. So if you have to actually come back from the Eastern Freeway, take an underpass, and it has a little bit of a challenging access right now. They're hoping to develop a new access at some point in time. But Chembur, yes, still remains a good pick. In general, there are multiple other opportunities within Chembur East by developers like Alta Vista, Godrej and Crystal, which are at much later stages of development, which would typically cost the same ticket as you are looking for, but there is a very clear line of sight in terms of delivery. The price point continues to be between 12,000 to 14,000 rupees on saleable. I think what you're getting offered is close to 14,000 rupees on saleable or 23,000 rupees on carpet. I think you can actually drive a better bargain than that, because we know that there is actually an option to buy at even sub 14,000, even in under development projects. Example, the names which I've already quoted. So I would urge you to look at some of the other opportunities beyond this current quoted one, and you can certainly stay at Chembur East as one of the target micro markets now.
Amit, also, and before we move on over there, we are showing you the other projects in the same micro market in the Chembur East micro market, and as you can see, most of the projects are, of course, in keeping with the price tag of the rate of 14 to 17,000 rupees per square foot, which Amit was just telling us. Most projects are priced over 1 crore, some approaching 2 to 2.5 crores over there. Tell us this, Chembur as a micro, we are seeing this entire market sort of opening up. This has always been in the center of Mumbai. Now that connectivity is really, improved and tremendously improved over here. We're seeing this micro market sort of opening up. There's a lot of redevelopment happening over here. What prospects are you seeing for Chembur over the next 5 years? We've seen prices, go down a bit, around 4%, but that is also reflecting the overall market sentiment. But over a 5-year horizon, where do you see Chembur?
So Chembur, Kavita, has been an investor or a buyers, actually more than investors, are buyers preferred choice in the last few years, especially after the construction of the infrastructure, which has reduced the impact of pollution. At one time, Chembur was one of the most polluted locations to actually live or work out of, which is not the case anymore. The abattoir has been moved beyond, or even has been shut down or reduced in terms of operations. Govandi, of course, is a suburb of Chembur or an offshoot of Chembur, which still is not a preferred location. But within Chembur itself, I think this particular location actually draws a lot of attention because it is lower than the median price that you're seeing in Chembur, which covers the more infill locations of Chembur, whether it's in around Diamond Garden or some of the older redevelopment locations. Sindhi Colony, etc., which are now actually the older projects are trading closer to even 20,000 rupees a square foot. And I know a number of good developers who actually even had started to quote even 20,000 rupees at one point. So clearly there is an upside because I think the prices...
Would you advise buying into something like a Sindhi Colony? Like you just said, there are resale properties available, yes, and that too in buildings that are over 20 years old. Would you advise someone goes in for something like that?
Not necessarily a 20-year-old development, Kavita, because clearly I think today's, the millennials or, the new buyers, Gen X, Gen Y are looking at more integrated developments which have a live, work, play sort of environment and not just standalone buildings. Chembur has that opportunity to develop large acres of land as we're seeing here. There have been a lot of large redevelopment projects which have come up, which offer that integrated lifestyle. So clearly there is a premium to that, and the tradability of that becomes much higher compared to older buildings. I think that's one from a liquidity perspective. So yes, I think the outlook remains, positive for Chembur as a whole.
What kind of growth?
I would say, so Chembur, while it has been flat for the last 1.5 to 2 years, I think it would tend to stabilize at about 19,000-20,000 rupees over the next 2 to 3 years. Once a lot of these extension works are finished and a lot of the developments are already available in the marketplace. So I do see a 3,000 to 4,000 rupee upside, which, because if you're paying on a plan basis, then you will see about 30-40% growth on your capital within this market. So that's what I think it will come to.
Right, and that's not growth to be sneezed at. Clearly, you are looking at 30 to 40% growth, which is sizable growth in that particular micro market. Sandeep Kumar's question next. He says that he has 12 lakh rupees investment planned, and he wants to invest in Bhiwadi, Rajasthan, or Vadodara, Gujarat. Now he wants to know which location is better. That's an interesting choice of locations that he's given you, Amit. As an investor, what would you pick? Bhiwadi, Rajasthan, or Vadodara, Gujarat?
One, of course, we don't do tier 2, tier 3 non-metro locations, Kavita, but I have seen the growth story of some of these locations in the pre-2008 era. There has been a huge run-up from an investor's appetite because that's really where bulk of the buying happens, is more investment as rather than a consumption asset class. Baroda, I would not step into it right now. The prices have been very flat and even actually quite depressed in the last 2, 3, 4 years. More than that, I think there is a huge amount of oversupply. There are no fundamental drivers for Baroda to actually, yes, there is industrialization, but it's not that rampant to actually command an extensive amount of offtake of either commercial, retail or residential properties. And the prices have been actually very cheap. People have been giving throwaway deals effectively in Baroda just to get liquidity. So I don't see how one will actually ever make money in Vadodara market in the next even 5 years. Maybe the prices will stabilize to a point where it becomes, the offtake starts off and people will start consuming real estate in Vadodara. But so I don't see any upside really.
What about Bhiwadi? There is an airport that is slated to come up over there, right?
That's right. I think Bhiwadi still actually presents a much better story because of the DMIC corridor, which I think is a very large development, and that Bhiwadi enjoys the connectivity with DMIC. We have seen a number of good developers actually even have gone, whether it's an Omax, a Krish Heights, and Avalon, which have gone and developed projects there and at very attractive pricing. Again, as I said, it is an industrial development, so it will continue to enjoy the benefits of it still being an industrial town, and its connectivity with the DMIC make it a very attractive proposition relatively compared to the choices offered. So I would go with Bhiwadi, and I think Rajasthan anyway, from a tourism, from an industrial, from a consumer appetite perspective, looks a far better location to look at right now compared to Vadodara for sure.
Right, and those are the prices as well in Bhiwadi and Vadodara. Vadodara averaging around 2,100 to 2,200 rupees per square foot. Meanwhile, Bhiwadi is priced between 1,500 rupees to around 2,700 rupees per square foot. So more or less similar prices over there. Bhiwadi a bit on the cheaper side though, but prospects in Bhiwadi seem much better than Vadodara, which Amit just pointed out has been depressed of late. Dhananjay Singh sends in a question through email, and he says that he's bought a 2 BHK flat in Ojhar, Nasik last year. What is the future of real estate in Ojhar? He wants to know how long should he stay invested to get a good return on his investment in this particular market. Amit?
One is that Ojhar is still a very old settlement, Kavita, because of the fact that it had an old airport, which there is a talk about expanding that airport, and there could be allied developments around that. We've also heard of now Nasik actually has now become a very important node because of the great connectivity which it now enjoys with Mumbai. So it's actually less than a 2-hour drive effectively from Bombay to reach Nasik, which has actually done wonders for that city. It's always been a wine capital for the last decade plus. So there's a lot of industrial development, there's a lot of hospitality development happening in Nasik, obviously because of the Kumbh Mela and so many other activities that happen there. So people have started taking a great amount of interest in Nashik in general. However, some of the micro markets which have developed faster are places like Indiranagar, or even before that in Devlali, rather than a place like Ojhar, because it's still, as I said, a more historic or a more legacy micro market as compared to some of the newer developments. But having said that, because Ojhar is that, it will enjoy the benefit of what Nasik is developing into is a more modern city, an industrial town, a tourism town, and because of its connectivity with Mumbai, it provides a great opportunity for people who want to actually move out and relocate near the vicinity of Mumbai, but enjoying better pricing, better labor availability, better area, ability to develop and expand. So from that perspective, I think Ojhar will have an upside. I don't know what your entry price is, but I think Nasik should typically...
That's where Propworth comes to our rescue, Amit. It's around 30 lakh rupees is what properties around 1,000 square feet are priced at.
That's right.
Those are the prices up on your screen, of course.
Yeah.
But, tell me something from an investment point of view, and he's very clear that it's an investment. And if he is looking at the Nashik market, what configuration would you have him invest in? Should he actually go in for a flat? What kind of a market is Nashik? Is it still a bungalow, an individual apartment kind of, individual villa kind of market, or is it moving into an apartment flat kind of market, or should he just buy land over there?
Well, I mean, first, you see that there's already been an investment which has been made recently, but historically, because it has been an old town which has just started to see the benefit of development, one can't certainly expect high rises to start working very quickly. There is enough land in and around Nasik which is available, but the largest amount of money which has been made in Nasik is clearly on land banking. I mean, we've seen 10x multiples actually being made on land in less than a decade, which means if you had bought land in 2005...
But that's agricultural land, no?
Well, of course, now they've converted to NA. A lot of projects have come up on that. Wineries have been bought and sold. There's a lot of corporate expansion within the winemaking industry there, where a lot of large groups have actually... Private equity has gone and bought assets in Nasik. So clearly, the value of land has actually become 10 times in about 10 years. So that has been the largest amount of growth. I do see certain upside continue to be in land in Nasik as it gets more and more populous. The availability of land will become more and more scarce, and therefore the upside will continue. But as vertical developments will continue to happen, more FSI will be opened up. So there will always be pressure in terms of how much upside you can get in an apartment compared to land. That is for sure. Second is that the consumption again will be limited to the smaller tickets. Whether it's the 1.5 or 2 BHK, I don't see really people who are staying in bungalows or staying in the old colonies or in the old villaments actually moving into high rises or moving into even mid rises. So it's really the new industrial workforce, the new educational workforce, tourism workforce, which will start consuming these 1 or 2 BHK investments, which is really where the the resale and the upside opportunity lies. But having said that, it is an easier buy to get into buying a flat and leaving it alone, because land is a slightly more complex asset class.
Asset to handle itself,
absolutely.
right.
So if you don't have the bandwidth, then you shouldn't get into that.
But that's an interesting perspective that you've brought into. And Dhananjay, thank you for sending us a question on a market like Ojar Nashik, because that's something that you don't really get to discuss much on these kind of shows. So great perspective on a market that has just about begun developing and emerging. Namrata sends in a question next. She says she wants to know if it is the right time to buy property. She says that this is the second property that she is buying. She invests around 30,000 rupees per month in mutual funds and is now looking to buy property in South Bengaluru. So very disciplined investor over there. Should she venture into the South Bengaluru market now?
Well, of course, I think Bangalore has two very distinct markets. One is the Thani Sandra market, which is doing extremely well, or there is a historic South Bangalore market, which started to do well with the IT boom, continues to do well with the development of new developments, especially on the ORR, Marthahalli segment, or even the electronic city side, because of the expansion of the IT corridor. So both actually are very, very core markets to look at from a growth, from a rental, from an upside perspective. To answer the question, I think yes, it is a fantastic time. I don't think it'll be a better time to actually buy real estate for a number of reasons. A, the immediate impact of demonetization is keeping the prices low and under pressure. I think things will stabilize after a few quarters, at which point the discounts available, in lieu of liquidity may not be easily available, because Bangalore doesn't offer discounts very quickly. The second point, of course, being that RERA will come in, and there will be a code of conduct effectively for the sector, which will then provide the guidance for processes, for value, for documentation, etc. And at that point, since everything is settled and there is a regulator, then again the ability to actually start giving discounts on a deal-to-deal or a project-to-project basis may actually reduce over a period of time. So this is a period of flux. The way I see it, that this is a period of liquidity flux, of regulatory flux, and of great bargains that one can drive from now to the next.
Even in the Bangalore market?
Yes, absolutely. I think Bangalore is a great market. I mean, we know that almost 60% plus of the capital deployed from private equity sources have actually gone to Bangalore over the last 2 years, and have been for IT buildings, have been for newer developments and townships. So clearly Bangalore still remains a winner despite the challenges of infrastructure and condensation. But having said that, it is still a very high growth consumption city because of the ITS, the startup boom, and which will continue for quite some time. So clearly the economic activity is high.
Right.
The commercial absorption is unprecedentedly high. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest drivers for Bangalore, which no city comes close to.
Exactly. And you mentioned ORR, Marthahalli and Electronic City in the South Bangalore markets. Of these three, which would be your pick if you had to pick only one?
Again, hard choices. As I said, I will first obviously go for completed assets. I mean, there is a problem of environment, of approvals in Bangalore, and I won't basically put my money on waiting endlessly to get delivery of my property. We've seen challenges even in which you thought would be delivered in 6 months, actually getting pushed back to a year and a half. So I think that's the first thing. Second, I mean, I'm really agnostic, because then depends on the price. Electronic City is cheaper. It's at 3,500 to 4,000 rupees. Marthahalli is slightly more expensive. So it again depends on your budget. Though I think Marthahalli will do better in terms of upside. I mean, you can see that's already done.
Yeah, it's already gone up 10%.
That's right. And I think
how much more upside are you seeing?
Well, I mean, it'll continue that sort of bull run, or it'll continue its sort of upside, because the number of projects are actually lower compared to Electronic City.
So supply is less.
Absolutely. So the supply base is smaller, and the demand is obviously very strong, where Electronic City has got a huge supply, and it's across phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
And it is a tad cheaper, like you said, 4,160 rupees
that is
per
a driver,
is
but
what it is priced
both
at.
are great.
We will have the price of ORR also coming up in a bit. But yes, the verdict is very clear. If you are looking to buy, this is a good time to buy in the South Bangalore market. ORR there, 5,294 rupees per square foot. Electronic City obviously being the cheapest of the lot, but Marthahalli is where you can really expect a much higher, much larger upside, is what Amit tells us. Moving on, Rohan says that he's planning to buy a flat in central Delhi. Now he asks us if this is a good time to buy. What is the status of projects? This is for end use. My budget is 90 lakh rupees. I'm not getting what he says when he says what is the status of projects. But
Yeah.
I think he's a cautious investor like you are.
Well, that's great,
Cautious buyer.
Rohan. I mean, because if you're a serious buyer in NCR, then you're God. You know, so people are worshipping the buyers these days from being treated very badly. So I think clearly the tide is extraordinarily in favor of buyers in the NCR region. People are willing to give an arm and a leg, and clearly because of the fact that inventory has grown by 40% in terms of unsold inventory overhang. We've seen prices crash by almost another 40% over the last 1.5 years, especially in larger markets like Gurgaon. Sona Road, Noida extension, or even Greater Noida. So I think that said, I think there are options for you to buy within Dwarka itself, not Dwarka Expressway, but in Dwarka Sector 12. You can look at Mayur Vihar, etc., where you will find either under construction or resale projects, which are all in the 4,000 rupees per square foot bracket. So first, in terms of pricing, I think it's hit rock bottom in NCR. People are not working for margins, they're working for liquidity. I think that's a very big driver because I think it's cash is king. So your ability to drive a great bargain, get a good product is unprecedented, like I mentioned before, more so in NCR than others. Second is that there are opportunities where it was harder to buy in Delhi, proper Delhi. You will actually find great deals because people need that liquidity, and it's not very hard. It's not very easy to come by in NCR. So therefore, you will get within Delhi, within Gurgaon, within Noida, within the larger NCR region as well. There are deals to be made. So that's on the other side. As I said, under construction projects remain a very, very big challenge. It is very hard to understand which are the developers which actually complete the projects because all of them have very large footprints in NCR. They've done millions and millions of square feet at once, and there is a pressure across projects to deliver. So, capital allocation and therefore completion timelines for each of them is a moving target largely, and that will continue for some time till there is stability in the market. So therefore, err on the side of caution where you can get into a project which is complete and occupied or getting occupied. People are moving in. In the absence of that, if you need to get into a underdevelopment project, then you need to do a little more homework in terms of the financial stability of the developer. Does he have bank finance? Does he have private equity money to
tell
finish
me
it?
this, Amit, as far as central Delhi is concerned,
Yes.
how much supply do you really have in terms of new projects coming into the market or projects that are currently under construction? Because this is a market that has been around for years. It's a very mature market in that sense. Do you have that kind of supply coming in?
Well, there has been supply for sure in central Delhi, not extraordinarily large compared to what we talk about Gurgaon and Noida. And even that supply in central Delhi has not been sold very rapidly. So DLF has come up with a number of projects in central Delhi near the railway station, near Connaught Place, which is hundreds and hundreds of apartments, many of them who are not sold. There are projects by Parsona, there are projects by other developers as well. So there is supply, but yes, it is not as large as other markets. And because of which, this is why I said there is enough supply and there is enough deals which can still be made, even though you're in central Delhi, and even though it's such a strong part of the NCR region. It's actually the center of the NCR region. So yeah, there is supply. It's not very large, but enough deals available in the market.
Enough deals available in the market, and by the looks of it, if you look at PropWorth and the prices that it's showing over there, there's a range of pricing also that is really available in the market, ranging all the way from 57 lakh rupees to 2.5 crore. So that's a huge range that you're essentially looking at, and with a 90 lakh budget, I think you should be spoiled for choice in this particular market. But yes, do keep in mind what Amit just said. It's best that you get into a project that is nearing completion. That way you will not, or one that is ready to move in. That way you will not need to really worry about the status of projects in Delhi, like you put it. We have Sumant now who sent us a question, and he says that he's planning to buy a 2 BHK home in Noida. His budget is 55 lakh rupees and he's considering Ghaziabad as an option. Is that a good choice?
So Ghaziabad has been an investor's favorite from a private equity perspective, not necessarily a retail perspective, because it's a very unconsumer market. So there's a very steady clique of buyers who keep on buying, keep on taking home loans, who keep on occupying projects consistently. So therefore, it's not as if there is a spurt of demand and suddenly, entire project is sold out overnight and then there is flipping going on and people are trying to palm off that inventory to somebody else. It's actually consumers who've gone, bought, continue to stay and have made Ghaziabad their home, especially after the new development started to come and Indirapuram started to become expensive. So Indirapuram is still at about 6 to 7,000 rupees. Whereas Ghaziabad is still within 3 to 4,000 rupees. So suddenly within a few kilometers of Indirapuram, you started to get very affordable, very completely intricately developed, all-inclusive developments. I think Crossings Republic really changed the face of Ghaziabad, where a number of developers came together and created a master planned city, which is where I recommend effectively buying.
So Ghaziabad, you're saying, is a good market, and know, Amit, I hate to cut you off, but I can't let you go without asking you this. We are heading towards the budget. The budget will be out next week. One is, of course, what is your advice to buyers and investors? Sit tight. And second, what are you really expecting to hear? What are you hoping to hear?
So one is, I think the budget will continue to drive at affordable housing, which has been the mantra of the government for the last few years, where they have been providing SOPs to developers in terms of income tax relief, to even waiving of service tax, etc. I expect the interest subvention to actually kick in a big way with the budget, where you will be able to now borrow cheap if you're a first-time buyer or if you're buying below a certain ticket size. So I think certainly waiting for the budget is an absolute yes. You cannot take a call within the next few days. You have to wait for what the budget announcements are, from a subvention, from an interest rate cut, from allowing tax pass-through or a reduction in tax for a first-time home buyer, in terms of the total amount of limit available of deduction on the income tax filings, to even increasing maybe your
Amit, and amen to that. Let's hope all of that
Absolutely.
really comes true. With that, we do come to an end of this episode of Property Hotline. Thank you for coming in and answering all those questions, Amit Goenka. And in the meanwhile, if you have any questions related to real estate, and yes, of course, the budget and what impact it would have all through next week, and for all your questions, do call, write in, or personally tweet to me, and we'll make sure that all your questions are answered. Thank you for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.